Tonight, family tragedy. A father and his two sons overcome by toxic fumes in a rural shed.
Bill Shorten backflips on his decision to repeal company tax cuts.
You stuffed it up? No, not at all.
A gunman kills 5 people in a US newsroom.
And Steve Smith opens up on and off the field in his return to cricket.
It's been tough, but I think I needed a break.
This is NBN News with Lobb and Natasha Beyersdorf.
Good evening. They rushed in to save their father's life, but their selfless actions would also cost them their own.
2 brothers are dead, along with their father, after they were overcome by toxic fumes in a shed on the family's property at Broken Hill.
Inside this shed lies an invisible killer, a toxic gas that claimed the lives of 3 members of a Broken Hill family. 44-year-old Lane Harvey and his 2 sons, 16-year-old Curtis and 23-year-old Jacob, a young father himself.
We worked really hard, all 3 services, trying to get the gentleman up to the hospital as quick as possible. Unfortunately, when they got to the hospital, health worked as hard as they could, but yeah, they all passed away, unfortunately.
Neighbours say Lane went to check on a generator downstairs in the shed when he was overcome by fumes. As wife Sherry called for help, Jacob and Curtis went in to try to save their dad themselves. Their brave actions costing them their lives.
We had to wait for New South Wales Fire Brigade to help extricate the patients safely because the fumes on scene were quite significant. They came up all 3 in cardiac arrest.
The tragedy has left locals in shock, the community's grief spilling onto social media, sending my condolences, love and prayers to the Harvey family, friends and loved ones. Life can be so cruel and unpredictable, and it's absolutely heartbreaking to hear about what has happened. From the local mayor, today our hearts are breaking with this tragic news. And from the mother of Jacob's child, I am absolutely heartbroken for our daughter and your family. You gave me the greatest gift of all. I promise that you will always remember her daddy, Uncle Kurt and Poppy Lane. Investigators are likely to remain at the property for days, but it will take this tight-knit community far longer to come to terms with this tragic accident. Elise Baker, NBN News.
Now to breaking news out of Queensland's Sunshine Coast, where police are locked in a standoff with an armed man. It's thought to be Zlatko Sikorsky, who's been the subject of an intense manhunt since Wednesday, when officers investigating the disappearance of 16-year-old Larissa Beelby found a body in a barrel south of Brisbane. Police say they're negotiating with the man. Neighbours have been told to stay indoors.
After 3 days of pain, Bill Shorten has hit reverse on his pledge to roll back tax cuts for medium-sized businesses. But the government says it's only a partial retreat because Labor won't back its target rate of 25%.
Labor's finance men flanked Bill Shorten as he stepped out to treat a self-inflicted wound.
We have changed our position.
The road to this backflip began on Tuesday with a single word.
So you will repeal the tax cut between $10 and $50 million as already legislated?
Yes. That pledge surprised colleagues who feared that Labor's assault on the big end of town risked looking like a smash and grab at the local shops. Few were keen to join that fight.
He has a right to exercise his judgment as the leader.
The leader got the message.
Smart politicians don't just lead, but they also listen.
But it's a tactical retreat. Labor is still pledging to repeal the law which sets a much lower target for business taxes.
But we won't take the tax rate to 25%.
Labor now agrees that all businesses with a turnover of up to $50 million should keep the tax cut of 27.5% when it takes effect from July 1. But the Labor government would repeal the cut to 27% in 2024 and the final target rate of 25%.
That has been passed into law. What Labor has said today is they won't allow that to happen.
The government says Labor has shown it's a long-run threat to even the smallest business.
What he's given today is a vote of no confidence in Australian business.
Labor hopes this rapid retreat means there'll be little lasting damage, but the government believes it's been handed a very big stick.
They want to roll back growth. They want to roll back tax relief from whether it's your personal income taxes or if you're just a small business trying to get by.
Whether Labor's fortunes have been rolled back will soon be tested by two tight by-elections. NBN News.
Police say it could be some time before they formally identify a man killed in a caravan fire near Stroud overnight. Neighbours say they heard multiple explosions before the flames took hold. Talia Saf reports.
At around 7 o'clock last night, emergency services were called to this property on Booral Road at Girvan. When they arrived, they found a caravan engulfed in flames, the fire also threatening the adjacent home.
There was one like bang, and then a couple of seconds later there was another one. It was just glowing and flames everywhere, and it was terrible.
Fire crews managed to extinguish the blaze quickly, but sadly discovered a man's body inside.
It's a little bit shaken and that, knowing that like someone was in there and that, and we couldn't do nothing about it.
While police haven't been able to formally identify the victim, NBN News understands the owner of the caravan and the sole occupant of the home is a 73-year-old man. Forensic officers were on the scene today trying to work out just how the fire started. It's not believed to be suspicious, but police are still urging anyone with information to come forward. Talia Saab reporting there. A man accused of a one-punch attack outside a Newcastle pub earlier this year has had his charge upgraded to manslaughter. Police allege 44-year-old Shane Holmes struck Chad Haddon in the face outside Queen's Wharf Hotel on January 14, causing him to fall and hit his head on concrete. Mr. Haddon passed away on Wednesday after spending more than 5 months in John Hunter Hospital. Holmes faced Newcastle local court today and was granted conditional bail. He's due to appear again next week.
A man remains on the run after an armed robbery at Merriweather this morning. Shortly after 7:30, a bandit entered the United service station on Patrick Street. He threatened a staff member with a knife before fleeing with cash and cigarettes.
Scary situation. Thankfully he wasn't injured, but no one likes to be threatened with a knife.
The offender is described as Caucasian in appearance, 180 centimetres tall, wearing dark pants, a grey hoodie, and had his face covered.
Lake Macquarie Council hopes to reach new heights in sporting excellence. It's unveiled plans for a national trampoline centre as part of a $30 million overhaul of facilities at Glendale.
Springing onto the national stage, a plan to make Lake Macquarie a major player on the gymnastics circuit.
State events, national events, for local events, trampoline tumbling has become very, very popular and it's used far and wide.
The council has outlined a $10 million vision for a trampoline centre of excellence. It will be Australia's only facility dedicated to high-performance trampoline and tumbling, and potentially a world-class training ground for our Olympic team.
I'm just one of many national squad members here in Lake Macquarie who would like to continue to call Lake Macquarie home.
Featuring 12-metre high ceilings and 9 full-size trampolines, the centre could also become a hub for so-called rebound therapy, exercise and rehab for the elderly and people with a disability.
Anybody has an opportunity to be successful at trampoline while having fun. It's a very enjoyable sport. There's very few people who can hop on a trampoline and not smile within the first couple of minutes of jumping around.
The council has committed $3 million so far and is applying for a state grant for the remaining 7.
Incredible. This will be a game changer for the sport of gymnastics in New South Wales. There's currently no venue like this for trampolining in New South Wales.
Samantha Long, NBN News.
A Wabakal Land Council has been granted ownership of 2 significant parcels of land in Newcastle and at Lake Macquarie. The state government today announced the council's land claims over the former Newcastle and Burwood Colliery Bowling Club sites have been successful. The Department of Industry, Lands and Water found the land was traditionally owned and occupied by the Indigenous people and has cultural importance.
An entrepreneur's generous $26 million partnership with the University of Newcastle is bearing fruit. The first recipients of a scholarship set up by Chinese billionaire Jack Ma have ventured to his home country, getting valuable tips from the man himself.
A once-in-a-lifetime meet and greet. 20 University of Newcastle students, the first ever recipients of the Ma and Morley Scholarship.